And stop waiting for your life to calm down before you start healing. Welcome to Soft Girl Era, the sacred pause Black women have been waiting for. I'm your host, LeAnne Dolce, pronounced Dolce like sweet softness whispered in French. And I'm your guide from burnout to boundaries, from doing to being, from strong to soft and loving every second of it. Today, I had the privilege of sitting down with Stephanie Williams, a woman who is not just rewriting the narrative on healing, she's dismantling the entire script we've been handed about what it means to survive versus what it means to actually live. Stephanie is a speaker, a creator, a spiritual guide who has built something extraordinary called the Soul Cultivation Movement. She's out here helping Black women, especially those of us who've been grinding so long we forgot what rest feels like. Learn how to tend to our inner world with the same urgency we give to everything and everyone else. And what she shared with me, it's going to shift something in you today. I promise you that. Because here's what Stephanie taught me and what I need you to really hear, not just with your ears, but with your whole spirit. Healing is not a destination you arrive at when life finally calms down. Healing is a daily practice you cultivate right now in the middle of the chaos, the bills, the responsibilities, the transitions, and the uncertainty. Let me say that again, because I know some of you are multitasking right now, folding laundry or driving or making dinner while listening to this. Healing is not something you wait for. It's something you do today. And if you're like so many of us, high achieving, overextended, carrying the weight of everyone else's expectations, you've probably been telling yourself some version of this lie. I'll rest when things settle down. I'll heal when I have time. I'll take care of me when everyone else is okay. But Stephanie's message is clear. And honestly, it's a little uncomfortable. That day never comes. Life doesn't pause. The chaos doesn't stop. And if you keep waiting for permission to heal, you'll spend your whole life exhausted, wondering why you feel so empty, even though you've accomplished so much. So let's talk about what healing actually looks like when you stop waiting and start cultivating. Let's talk about what it means to choose yourself, not someday, but today. Stephanie introduced me to something she calls soul cultivation, and it's rooted in the fruit of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self control. Now, if you grew up in the church like I did, you've heard these words 1,000 times. They were on posters in Sunday school, they were in sermons, they were memorized and recited and sung about. But here's the thing: Stephanie doesn't teach them as religious concepts you memorize and forget about by Monday morning. She teaches them as daily practices you live. She teaches them as tools you use to cultivate your inner world, to protect your peace, to reclaim your joy. Because here's the truth, and this is where it gets real. Your inner world is the only territory you can truly control. You can't control the economy. You can't control other people's choices. You can't control how fast things change or how heavy life feels sometimes. You can't control whether your boss respects you, whether your family understands you, whether the world sees you the way you deserve to be seen. But you can control how you tend to your own spirit. You can control whether you cultivate peace or let chaos run the show. You can control whether you practice patience with yourself or keep punishing yourself for not being perfect. You can control whether you extend kindness to your own heart or keep treating yourself like an afterthought. And that shift from trying to control everything outside of you to intentionally cultivating what's inside of you. That's where freedom lives. That's where peace lives. That's where joy lives. Let me tell you what Stephanie said that hit me right in the chest, that made me pause the recording and just sit there for a minute. She said, "A strength and survival are not the same as peace, and confusing them leads to exhaustion." Listen, how many of us have been praised for being strong? How many of us have been told you're so resilient, you always figure it out, you're a warrior, you're unstoppable? And we wear that like a badge of honor because we've had to, because survival mode became normal, because pushing through became our identity, because we didn't have the luxury of falling apart. But Stephanie reminded me, and I need you to hear this, that just because you can survive doesn't mean you should have to keep surviving. Just because you can push through doesn't mean that's the life you're meant to live. True freedom, she said, comes from transforming how you live within the chaos, not from escaping it. Because let's be real, life is always going to have something. There's always going to be a bill, a responsibility, a transition, a curveball. There's always going to be something that demands your attention, your energy, your time. But if you're constantly in survival mode, you're not living. You're just enduring. You're just getting through it. You're just making it. And you deserve more than that. You deserve peace. You deserve joy. You deserve softness. Not someday, today. So, how do you actually do this? How do you start healing when life is still lifing? How do you cultivate your soul when you're still paying bills, raising kids, managing projects, dealing with family, navigating relationships, and trying to keep your head above water? Stephanie gave me the most practical, doable challenge, and I'm passing it on to you right now. And I want you to actually do this. Not just think about it, not just agree with it in theory, but actually do it. Choose one fruit of the Spirit, just one, not all nine, not a complete life overhaul, not a vision board with 20 goals, just one quality: peace, patience, kindness, joy, gentleness, whatever speaks to you, and practice it intentionally for the next 7 days. This could look like choosing peace by setting one boundary that protects your energy. Maybe that's saying no to something that drains you. Maybe that's turning off your phone an hour before bed. Maybe that's letting go of a conversation that's been stealing your peace for weeks. Maybe that's walking away from a relationship that's been exhausting you for years. Or maybe you choose patience. Maybe you practice pausing before you react to stress. Maybe you give yourself grace when things don't go perfectly. Maybe you stop rushing through your day like you're being chased and actually breathe. Maybe you let yourself be human instead of superhuman. Or maybe you choose joy. Maybe you create one moment of celebration this week, something small, something just for you. Maybe you play your favorite song and dance in your kitchen. Maybe you cook a meal that makes you feel good. Maybe you gather with people who remind you what laughter feels like. Maybe you give yourself permission to enjoy something without feeling guilty about it. The point is not perfection, the point is practice. The point is making healing tangible and doable today, not someday. Because here's what Stephanie knows and what I'm learning: when you start tending to your inner world with intention, everything shifts. Not overnight, not all at once, but slowly, steadily, you start to feel different. You start to respond differently. You start to protect your peace differently. You start to show up for yourself the way you've been showing up for everyone else. And that is when the soft girl era truly begins. Now, I want to be honest with you about something. This work is not easy, it's not a quick fix. It's not a one time decision, it's a daily practice. And some days you're going to forget. Some days you're going to slip back into old patterns. Some days you're going to feel like you're not making progress. Some days you're going to wonder if any of this even matters. But Stephanie reminded me that transformation comes in layers. Healing is not linear, growth is happening even when it feels slow. And the fact that you're even listening to this right now, the fact that you're even considering the possibility that you deserve softness and peace and rest, That's already progress. So give yourself credit for that. Give yourself credit for still being here, for still choosing growth, for still believing that something better is possible, for not giving up on yourself even when life gave you every reason to. Because it is possible, peace is possible, joy is possible, softness is possible, healing is possible. And you don't have to wait for life to calm down to start living it. Here's what I want you to remember from today's conversation with Stephanie Williams. First, healing is a daily practice you must actively cultivate, not a destination you wait for. Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for the perfect time. Stop waiting for everything to be in order. Start today, right where you are with what you have. Second, strength and survival are not the same as peace, and confusing them leads to exhaustion. You were not created to just survive. You were created to thrive, to rest, to experience joy and softness and freedom. And that starts with redefining what strength actually means. Third, your inner world is the only territory you can truly control, and cultivating it intentionally changes everything. When you stop letting circumstances dictate your emotional and spiritual state, when you start tending to your soul with the same care you give to everything else, that's when real transformation happens. So here's what I'm asking you to do. Not next week, not next month, not when things calm down. Today, pick one fruit of the Spirit, write it down, put it somewhere you'll see it every day, and for the next 7 days, practice it. Notice where you can choose peace. Notice where you can extend patience to yourself. Notice where you can create joy, even in small moments, and then reflect. Journal about it, talk to a friend about it. Notice how this one practice shifts your inner world, even slightly, because that's how healing happens. Not in giant leaps, but in small intentional steps. Not someday, but today. Stephanie Williams is out here doing the work, creating space where women can heal, grow, and rediscover their purpose. She's teaching us that we don't have to wait for life to be perfect to start cultivating peace. She's reminding us that our inner world matters, that our healing matters, that we matter. And I'm so grateful for her wisdom, her vulnerability, and her commitment to helping us all step into our soft girl era, not as a trend, but as a lifestyle, a rebellion, a sacred return to softness, rest, and radical joy. Now, here's the truth I need to leave you with. You've been strong long enough. You've been surviving long enough. You've been waiting long enough. And the world needs you whole, not just functional. The world needs you at peace, not just productive. The world needs you soft, not just strong. So stop waiting for your life to calm down before you start healing, because your life is happening right now. Your healing is available right now. Your peace is possible right now. Choose one practice. Cultivate your soul. Protect your peace. And watch how everything begins to shift. This is Soft Girl Era, where we unlearn survival, rediscover softness, and reclaim the joy, rest, and freedom we deserve without guilt, without apology, and without explanation. Now go cultivate your soul. You've earned it.